We need to have a chat. We need to talk about one of the most important and most misunderstood settings in video: shutter speed. Hey friends, I am Jen. I'm a family filmmaker and photographer, and your bridge to the gap between photography and video. If you're a photographer and you want to learn video, welcome. In this video, we'll dive into how to set your shutter speed for video and why. The best part is, which we'll get to, you can set it and forget it. By now you know that video is essentially just a bunch of photos played sequentially. That's where we get frames per second. Let's start with the rule of thumb. In video, your shutter speed should generally be set to double your frame rate. So if you're shooting at 24 frames per second, let's say, you're gonna want your shutter speed to be 1/48, but most cameras don't have that, so we do 1/50. If you're shooting at 30 frames per second, you want your shutter speed to be 1/60th of a second. And if you're shooting at 60 frames per second, you're gonna set that thing to 1/120th of a second. This is called the 180-degree shutter rule, and it's all about motion blur, that natural cinematic look our eyes are used to seeing in movies in real life. When you set your shutter speed to double the frame rate, remember it was called the 180-degree shutter rule. Each frame captures the right amount of motion blur. It looks natural, pleasing, and real. Not too crisp, not too smeary. Go ahead and wave your hand in front of your face. Do you see it blur? Lower shutter speeds mean that each frame is blurring the motion, and that mimics closer to what our eyes see in real life. This is how film cameras worked for decades, and our eyes are just used to seeing it that way. But what happens if you accidentally boost your shutter speed way up? You get very crispy, jittery looking footage. The movement is gonna feel really harsh and robotic. Higher shutter speeds mean that the motion in each frame is frozen, and that's why it creates a jittery look that feels just a little bit off for us. You've probably seen this in war films or action scenes. It's a very dramatic effect. Here's the twist: sharper isn't always better. This looks sharp, right? But look closer. There's no blur between frames, so the motion becomes staccato, like it's skipping, almost like it's a stop motion animation. That's because your brain is interpreting each frame as a still image, not fluid motion. And what happens if your shutter is too slow? Well, your footage becomes smeary and dreamlike. You lose clarity in motion and it can feel sloppy. It's great for an artistic look, but not really what you're going for in an everyday film. Now here we've got too much motion blur. It starts looking ghostly, dreamy, out of control. The slower shutter speed allows so much motion between frames that details become muddy. You lose clarity and the footage just feels off. This could be useful for music videos or stylized sequences, but for normal footage, especially anything handheld, it's gonna look messy and hard to watch. So why double the frame rate? Well, because it's going to give you just enough blur to smooth out the motion between frames, but not so much that you lose detail. It mimics how our eyes experience motion in real life, a balance of clarity and blur. This is the cinematic look that we're all chasing. So the bottom line, when in doubt, double your frame rate for your shutter speed. Next, I'm gonna help you make the connection with shutter speed between photography and video. Before I do that, if this video has been helpful at all so far, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment. Ask a question, anything you wanna know. If you're a photographer, you probably think like this. You set your shutter speed to freeze or blur motion based on your subject. But in video, you're capturing continuous motion, so the blur needs to feel natural between frames, not one still moment. So where a 1/1000th shutter speed might be perfect for sharp, still photos, in video, that same shutter speed makes motion look jumpy or unnatural. You're not freezing a moment, you're stitching moments together. You're shaping how your footage feels. Here's how to set your shutter speed for video in real life. Set your frame rate based on your final output, usually 24 or 30 frames per second if you want a more true to life look, 60 or 120 frames per second if you're going for slow motion. Then set your shutter speed to double that frame rate and forget it. Do not change it while you're filming. If you're shooting outside and it's really bright out, but you want to shoot with a low aperture so you can have that shallow depth of field, you're going to want to shoot with a neutral density filter. These filters go on your lenses, and then as you turn them, it lightens or darkens your exposure. This is going to be helpful to help you maintain that lower shutter speed that you need for video, while also being able to maintain a low aperture. So let's recap. Double your frame rate for natural motion blur. If your shutter speed is too fast, you'll have jittery video. If your shutter speed is too slow, it'll be a smeary mess. Treat shutter speed in video like motion blur control, not sharpness settings like in photography. If you're coming from a photography background, this might be weird at first, but trust me, once you see the difference in your footage, you'll never go back to guessing your shutter speed again. To dive deeper into frame rates, 24, 30, and 60 frames per second, be sure to check out this video next. Thanks for watching. If this helped you better understand shutter speed in video, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video.